In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 big events that are meant to be coming. Hi, my name is Kenda. Welcome to Lift Your Spirit. If you're interested in patriotic and Christian t-shirts and accessories, check out my Etsy shop. I'll put a link in the description. Now, I said I was going to talk about 5 big events that are coming, or that I believe are coming, that are supposed to be coming. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that. I'm going to share some information from experts and prophets. I might just point to a video that I've already created if there's too much to talk about. And if you stay to the end, you're going to hear from a prophet about the EBS. That's just a very short prophecy that I want to share with you. I have joined quite a few Telegram groups that share information from Q and other intel. And I want to share a post with you today that talks about these 5 big events and more. However, I've pulled out 5 things to talk about. I don't know if this is all going to play out as they say it will, as it says so in this post. However, I do know these things are going to happen because they've been prophesied. So first, I'm going to read you this post. I will also put a link to this post in the description. It says, there is going to be a big biblical scenario where they make out it's World War III, but really they are activating militaries, then bombing all of these satanic Luciferian landmarks. Prophet Julie Green says that World War III is not going to happen. So no matter what it looks like, even if it looks like World War III, and they're going to talk about this as well, it's not World War III. That's not what's happening. And it goes on to say, enacting Gesera funds and we the people rebuild. The event, it is biblical. What are some of the very big satanic Illuminati landmarks in the world? Q showed us. The Vatican, Buckingham Palace, the White House in USA and Germany, 3GD in China. I forgot to look that up. I don't know what that is. If anyone knows off the top of their head, please let us know in the comments. CERN on the Swiss-French border, possible. And I've heard that the White Hats actually have control of CERN, and they've had control of it since before the eclipse. Now, part of this is not in sentences, it's just in bullet form. It says, Big Pharma in Wuhan equals Israel. Israel Khazarians control CCP, the media, etc. As Christians, we are supposed to get behind Israel. We're supposed to support Israel and pray for Israel. And I believe that that's what I do. However, that's not to say there aren't bad characters in Israel. I believe there are. And there are corrupt, evil things going on in Israel. So we pray against that. And it continues. 34 satanic buildings and dams will fall. Rods of God, dew worldwide. Planes and trains grounded. Lights, power switched off. Changing over to Tesla, free energy. Bitcoin servers, data center hit and turned off for good. 99.5% of crypto gone, China coins. Enter ISO 20022 coins, backed by precious metals. World War III scare event, nuke sirens, water event. And Prophet Julie Green has also said that we should watch the water. Prophet Diana Larkin talked about that as well. Stock market crash, global martial law, Castle Rock, scenario Julian Assange. I don't know what Castle Rock is. Again, if anyone knows, please put it in the comments. Quantum systems, Project Odin switched on. Nasera, Gesera, RV. I don't know what RV stands for. Election flipping via military courts. FISA, military tribunals, confessions, 10-day movie, 3 times 8-hour sessions. This was talked about in the Fall of the Cabal series. 10 countries will be running EBS to cover the whole world because it's meant to be that the White Hats will take over the media. Because right now the Cabal, I believe, still have control over the media. But the White Hats will take over, and that's when this is supposed to happen. Reveals, inauguration. The Israeli Mossad control the world's media out of the U.S. Attached is Q 1871 outlining this. Project Odin, as mentioned by Ron Code Monkeys, is a powerful anti-deplatforming tool. Project Odin is part of Quantum Starlink. Our new quantum systems are to be protected by secret space programs out of the Cabal's reach. Q2337 tells you Mossad media assets will be removed. Think people like Alex Jones, Anderson Cooper, etc., and also Mossad satellites. Now, I still believe Alex Jones is a good guy, but I guess we'll see. Israeli intelligence, stand down. And then there's just a bunch of numbers here. I'm not going to bother saying that one. Media assets will be removed. This part of 2527 tells you that something powerful is going to knock out Mossad media satellites. This will black out the media worldwide, switch us over to the quantum systems. This is Project Odin. All in all, give the reason to activate the military EBS. If you look up the Turksat rocket that launched from the USA in January, you will see it was specifically for military comms to people's TVs and radios in Africa, Middle East, Europe, and Central Asia. The event has many facets to it. The worldwide blackout to change over to Tesla energy, knocking out media satellites, QFS, rods of God on dams and 34 buildings and much, much more. 34 buildings will be in the event. They are very significant. White House, Royal Castles, Buckingham Palace, Vatican, Getty Museum, Playboy Mansion, and the like. This will surely make the stock market collapse, as will precision cyber linked to Executive Orders 13818 and 13848. It is all a show. Swapping from Rothschild's central bank notes to rainbow treasury notes, now backed by precious metals, not oil or wars. I've heard this as well. We're returning to a gold-backed currency. Are we still comfy or are we scared? A little bit of both is normal. Trump keeps his promises. Have faith in the Lord our God. He will comfort you through the storm. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. Do not have fear. God will comfort you. Who saw in January up to 10 countries at once have their power all turned off by the Space Force? Just before that, Israel had that happen for 30 minutes as well. If they can turn 10 at once off altogether, they can do the whole lot. Welcome to Tesla. Blackout necessary. Have a look at all the global military exercises now being put in place. And that's true. There has been one in Canada where the military is going around people's houses to do wellness checks. It's all happening in front of you. It's the largest global military operation in planet Earth's history. Transition to Gesera greatness. Now they just have to play out a fake World War III scenario to ring sirens in every national military command center. And like I said, that's what Julie Green prophesied. This is to justify to the whole entire planet many things that have been taking place already. The fact that Gesera military law has been in place. And Derek Johnson talks about that a lot. He talks about how Trump has been commander-in-chief of the military this entire time. The secret military tribunals, confessions, etc. The executions, the lot. And like all militaries, normally they will help build new things. Now I'm going to pull out those 5 things that I want to talk to you about. Number 1 is the rods of God. They talked about buildings coming down using the rods of God. I talked about that in a recent video. That's this video here. It's Prophet Barry Wunsch who talked about that.
Yeah, in fact, you're going to talk about Canada, right? So
yeah,
you've got some stuff. Talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so here's another one now. This was September 23rd, 4 a.m. And I had a really unsettled night, Steve. I'm not gonna tell you otherwise. Yeah. And at one point, the Father took me over Canada, and I found myself over Ottawa, which is the capital city of Canada. And I was high over the Parliament buildings, there looking down, and I could see literal darkness pulsating out of that legislative, Parliament for the nation. Yeah. I mean, it was dark, it was gray, it was overcast. I mean, the demonic atmosphere was so very evident. And so as I'm looking over this, all of a sudden, I'm looking at this building, and it's like the building actually turned into glass, like into a greenhouse. And I could suddenly see through this big, elaborate structure of Parliament. And I could see that underneath it were these concrete type bunkers and tunnels. And I knew that, the nefarious.
Are those literal that you're seeing? What's really underneath there?
Yeah, I believe so, Steve. I believe so. I've been told so. And I was taken up, in that moment into the Spirit over the Parliament buildings. And what I saw, Steve, it looked like I saw these missiles coming down, out of the sky, out of the atmosphere, and they had such a pinpoint precision and accuracy, and they actually penetrated the Parliament buildings, and they were taken down. And as I looked, these missiles were not like, with explosives that would make a large blast area, but instead just the weight of their the force and the inertia, it imploded the structures that they hit. And I realized that what I was looking at, now these things, to me, if you take a city bus and you put a couple of them together, and that, to me, that seemed kind of about the size that these things were. And what I realized is I was looking at the rods of God taking out this evil structure that had been controlling and manipulating Canadians for decades and decades.
Wow.
And right down to the Masonic roots and foundations.
For anyone that doesn't know, that's a literal weapon, right? It's called the rods of God, dropped from the sky from way the heck up there. And it's, I don't even know if it contains explosives or if it's just the sheer speed and weight and strength of that thing. Yeah. It penetrates rock. I mean, it just goes.
Now, Steve, I didn't know that what rods of God were.
You didn't?
I released the word, and I got people sending me stuff on the rods of God and the weaponry that it actually is. I did not know that this is actually an actual weapon that's in the hands of, I believe, the Space Force.
Yeah.
Of our American brothers. And so anyway, that kind of blew me away.
So you got that term before you even...
I did not know that the rods of God were actually an armament, were an official armament.
I've only known it for probably a year and a half or something. I read about it, and I thought, what's the rods of God? You can Google it, and people can say, well, what's the rods of God? It'll tell you.
Yeah, I did not know. So I'm watching this, and the next thing you know, I'm over the nation of Canada, and I could see that there was a strike. It wasn't just Ottawa that got hit, but there were other government buildings and facilities and targets that were also being taken out from coast to coast. So in what seemed like minutes, the evil infrastructure was wiped out and the enemy was brought to its knees. And there was no longer a structure or anywhere they could hide or function from. This was it. It was over, one and done. The nation kind of went into a state of shock and almost disbelief for what just happened. But the reality was undeniable. And out of the aftermath, there was a new day dawning. And out of the rubble arose a righteous, legitimate government ready to go to rebuild Canada. One nation under God, by the people, for the people. And the Father leveled the old Babylonian systems, foundations, and it was time for the nation to behold his kingdom.
So no, that's the end of your notes. So it looks like that. So I got to ask the question. So when the rods of God were used, can you? I say in my mind, to get clarity, I can see a thing that's a rod penetrating, going clear down into caves and tunnels below. But are you saying it took out all that was the Parliament buildings, or are you saying it took out what actually got destroyed?
What I saw taken out, Steve, was the actual Parliament buildings, the actual structures, buildings, and governmental agencies across the nation that basically functioned in the Freemasonry and in the Babylonian system within the new WEF, the W8, like all of those places were like done.
Wow, that's huge. And I mean, that's you're going to get some knocks on the door and calls. People saying, are you serious? This is but I mean, you're saying this is literal. God showed you the literalness of the rods of God being used to take out evil structures in Canada.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, Steve, what part, when you go in and you start to rebuild a nation, you take down the Asherah poles, you start taking down these
Asherah poles, like in the Bible.
In the Bible. Which one is okay to leave? I mean, none of them are good to leave. And so I believe that as God comes and brings, what he's bringing here, it is going to take out infrastructure that they will not be able to function any longer.
Number 2, a blackout. They said there was a blackout coming. Blackout necessary, they said. Prophet Julie Green has talked about that many times. And I talked about the darkness and how it's happened before. It's already happened. If you go back in the Bible, there are examples in the Bible. I talked about it in this video here.
For the Lord had to say, there's a darkness coming. A darkness that will be felt. A darkness that will bring confusion and chaos. A darkness that will bring separation. A darkness that will divide some. A darkness when many people will die. A darkness so thick, the grief so strong, the hopelessness and despair. This is what I've warned you about. I have warned you of this time. I've warned you of their plan. I have to remind you, this is not to fear. A darkness has come similar, not like this. But as an example, in my word, the Egyptians couldn't even get out of bed. The darkness was so thick. But there was light in my Goshen. This darkness will be thick, be dense. It will be hard for some to deal with and hard for some to bear. But do you know who I'm talking to and about? The darkness will come to the world, the evil rulers, the ones against my church, the ones who have been against my body, the ones who have been against my nations, the ones who have been against law and justice, the ones who have been against freedom, the ones who have been against financial prosperity for my children, the wickedness that they have brought, the ones who have been touching and against the little children, the ones who have brought much death, the ones who have brought much evil into this world. The darkness is for them. I've given you examples in my word on what I do. I prepared my children in Goshen before the angel of death came. I have been preparing my body. I have been preparing you this time. These things won't come near you. Do you hear these words? Do you really hear these words? And do you believe these words? It won't come near you. My light will shine brighter in you now than it ever has before. It will dispel any darkness in your dwelling places. It will dispel any darkness that wants and thinks it's going to come near you or overwhelm you. That's your enemy. Thinks a lot of things. He tries to do a lot of things. It doesn't mean he gets it.
Number 3, the stock market crash. I did a video recently about the stock market crash. I can't exactly remember what's in that video, but I know I offered some prophecies around the stock market crash. Number 4, the quantum systems. I recently created a video about that as well. That's this video here. In that video, I offer some information from expert Dr. Scott Young, as well as a prophecy from Prophet Barry Wunsch, and even Alexa talks about the quantum system. There's too much to add here, so you can watch that in the video. Number 5, the EBS. This is the prophecy I said I was going to share at the end. This is a prophecy from Canadian prophet Barry Wunsch. Now, this is specifically for the USA, but I believe this is something that's going to happen worldwide. We'll have to wait and see. It says, EBS warning for the USA. This prophecy was given September 22nd, 2022. The world as you know it is about to change forever. He has said that before, and Prophet Julie Green has also said that, among other prophets. There's going to be an event. Obey the EBS, the Emergency Broadcasting System, when it comes. Barry, tell my people to stay inside as instructed. And I'll also tell you that Prophet Julie Green talks about this as well. She talks about God locking us in. It's not going to be a lockdown that's coming. God is going to lock us in for our protection. He says, it will be clear when it is safe to come out. Things are going to run very hot for a few days. And again, Prophet Julie Green also said they're turning up the heat, just like when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were forced to get in the fiery furnace, and the evil king Nebuchadnezzar turned up the furnace even hotter. But when they got in the furnace, there was a fourth person in there with them, and it was Jesus. Jesus was in there with them, protecting them. Absolutely nothing happened to those men because they didn't bow to the devil. They didn't bow to the evil king, but the king's people died. So don't bow, don't give in. I've had to hide my people away before. This is not the first time. And another example of that in the Bible is when they put the blood of the lamb around their doorposts, and God's people were safe. But Pharaoh's people lost their firstborn. Prophet Julie Green says there is going to be a lot of biblical discoveries, and there has been recently, or in the last few years. The Dead Sea Scrolls, I believe, were found in 1948, for example. And finally, he says, watch the Northeast, USA. Well, I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like it and share it with others. But when you like my content, it helps to push it out for other people to see it. Thank you for watching. God bless you.